Hey there, everybody. We're back for part three of our
Three,
Lorcana update.
four,
I don't know.
something like that.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter, but we thought it'd be fun to kind of check back in with Lorcana, which is the Disney IP card game that is supposed to be a Magic killer or a Magic competitor. And I don't know. It's kind of strange. We're sitting here in early December, and it doesn't feel like a lot's happened. It feels like the
Yeah.
game was launched and I should say previewed, and they haven't really done much with it. Andy, what are your thoughts here?
Yeah, I mean, I think there was like a ton of hype right at D23. Obviously, I mean, I got hyped about it. We
I got hyped about
recorded a
it.
couple videos. Like, I'm still interested in the game. Like, when it comes out a year from now, or when we get to, I guess, whatever Ravensburger decides to do for spoiler season, probably in like the summer of next year. And then I guess there was some more. There was like a little bit of like, if you looked at say like the set sales and finance trends and stuff, like it spiked high in like early September, right after D23, when everybody who like saw it and was like, oh, I want to get that, right? So it went up to like $2,000 for a set of like 6 cards. And then I guess there was like somebody who, maybe by like early October, PSA started turning around graded cards, and then I think later there was like a set of some like one graded like PSA 10 card sold for like a couple $1,000s on its own, and then the whole sets, like all the sets, like jumped to like $8,000 to $10,000 for like the whole set, because you could just get 7 cards, send them in, probably get nines and tens on most of them. The way they
Yeah.
packaged it is a little bit flimsy, but regardless, you send them in, get them graded, flip them for $1,500 to $2,500 a card, plus if it's an actual 10. um, and then so like it stayed high, but the more people that are grading, it's like, who's the real audience for graded cards? Like, a Disney collector isn't necessarily like, they just want the card. They don't necessarily
Yeah.
need a PSA 10 version of the card. So like your PSA 10 version is going to be more for like card collectors and or gamers who are also collectors, but the game's not really out, so there was not like a ton of interest, I guess, in the game. I mean, there's interest in the game, but like, because you can't actually play it, it's like, okay, great, a PSA 10 of this.
It's a really good point. Like, I think the intersection of people that follow, that care about PSA or Beckett and our Disney collectors is a small, Venn diagram, right? The overlap
Sure.
there. Like, don't get me wrong, the Disney people, they have money, they have deep pockets, but they might not also care about what is a PSA 10 versus a PSA 9. They just want to have the stuff to put into their Disney dungeon, right?
Sure.
So, that's
Sure.
just like the fact, right? And so I think that you are getting this narrow audience of card people that also want a 10, and there's also wild speculation happening, which I don't think is healthy. But
Sure.
I think we're kind
Exactly.
of
And
seeing
like,
the tail end
so
of it a
like,
little bit.
as more PSN, most of them come back nines and tens. If you look at pop reports on these, and or just kind of like eBay sold, like there's some that come in like a little bit under, and that's probably because of some of the flimsier packaging that these things came in. But overall, regardless, is kind of like a 9 or a 10 is going to be kind of your average. I mean, a 10 is kind of still hard to get, so let's say a 9. But as the returns start coming in by like late October, early November, it's like, well, the market's a little bit, I don't want to use the word flooded, because there's only 900 copies of this thing out there. But like, that intersection of who actually wants graded cards versus raw cards versus, you know, collectors versus players, like all that kind of stuff taken into account, is like, people stopped. I mean, the sets are still expensive, but they're hovering maybe around like $5,500 to $6,500 for the
Which is
set.
still a lot of money.
Still a lot of money, of course, but it's down from, you know, $9,000 to $10,000. And I mean, there was a point in like early October where there were like no sets on eBay for sale, and anytime one would get listed, it would immediately get bought at like $10,000. So, now you can go on and buy a set if you would like. So, kind of that hype train is dying off. And there's not really anything to follow it up with. I mean, they've released like what the names of the mana system is, whatever you want to call it, ink system. It's like, okay, it's Ruby. Great. Like, this is
How
not
revolutionary, right? Like,
yeah, like, come on, guys.
I just can't. I mean, you have so many. Like, you could have had a Halloween card. You could have had a Thanksgiving card. Like, we're about to
a
hit the holiday season.
newsletter. YouTube put out a series of YouTube shorts or Instagram stories about it.
There's so much low-hanging fruit here that if you want to actually compete with Wizards of the Coast and like the Magic army that exists, that is increasingly discontent. This is the thing that this is the ultimate market opportunity for Lorcana.
Sure.
Like, if you do this right, the Magic people are not being treated kindly by Wizards of the Coast.
Magic 30 as a set backfired on them, as
like
some of it's hearsay, but like hearsay is they got their butts handed to them on that, and like people just are generally kind of over with. I mean, don't get me wrong, there's 35 million people that play Magic. If 5 million of them are very vocal and I'm never going to buy a Magic thing and I'm going to vote with my wallet and leave, great, they still have 30 million people that are going to still play it. Like, I get that part, but increasingly people are disconnected and discontent with the way that Wizards has kind of really handled a lot of secret layers and products and stuff, and the getting rid of professional play to an extent, or to a large extent, and there really hasn't been anything to kind of take that void. I mean, Flesh and Blood has kind of tried to step in and do their thing, but I mean, Flesh and Blood is not nearly at the point where Magic was in their organized play, as far as like, I mean, they get a lot of people that attend their, whatever their version of a Grand Prix is called, a calling or something like that. But like, in the end, like, do I think that Lorcana is going to pick up the slack on that? Absolutely not, to be honest.
But if you have even, of the 35 million players, you have 3% that leaves, that's a million people, right?
Sure.
Which would put this game, absolutely on everybody's minds. And I just don't see it. And we were kind of chatting about this before the show, but perhaps having a puzzle company in Ravensburger run this card, maybe they're not the best suited for it as far as understanding what they're getting into. Like, they had this lightning in a bottle moment where everybody was so excited about this, and they've just done very little
radio silence.
Yeah, and
here we're going to call red ruby and purple's going to be amethyst, and you're like, come on, guys, this is like, not how you do this. Like, puzzles don't have an organized play system. Puzzles don't have drafts. Puzzles are for 6-year-old kids like my son, who wants to build a fire truck out of 24 pieces. Like,
right,
nobody cares about puzzles. That's the end of the story.
Yeah, but like,
you're not 1910.
You're trying to appeal to players. You're trying to appeal to collectors. You're also trying to appeal to an entire generation of Magic players that grew up playing Magic that now have little guys that they want to be able to play a card game with. The amount of people that I've talked to that are in that exact situation where they're like, I'd love to play this game with my kid. Right?
Yeah, because, right here. Me.
Yeah,
I've got a 4-year-old at home.
So like, I just think that they're missing this opportunity here, and not, you're going to release a base set. I'm going to guess a base set is going to be 300 cards, 360 cards. Usually base sets are big. You can't tell me that you can't preview 2 a month for the next 9 months, right? Like, it just feels like a little bit stingy.
And you don't even need to necessarily do a card preview. There's just other ways to engage with through social media. I mean, this isn't 2002 and the internet is like a novelty to people still. It's 2022. Like, what are you doing if you can't deploy an actual legitimate social media marketing initiative? Like,
right.
I look at Ravensburger's Instagram and it's like some random guy talking about like making puzzles at Thanksgiving, and it's got like 4 comments and like 36 likes. And I'm just like, dude, if you really believe that this game is here to compete with Pokemon and Magic, you guys are about to have like a massive headache when you have 12,000 likes and 872 comments. Like, and that's like on the low end of what you're gonna like expect if this is like truly where you think you're going. And I tried to argue this with somebody online, and arguing with people online is the worst thing of all time. So
Yes.
do yourself a favor and just cut your losses and move on. But I didn't. So I was arguing with somebody online, and they were going on and on about like how they're bringing in, XWAT designers and stuff. And it's like, yeah, I get that. I don't know anything about Kaijudo or Duel Masters or whatever the game that the other guy designed. And it doesn't really exist anymore. Like, it didn't go anywhere as far as I can tell. It's in the Dead CCG group on Facebook where you can pick it up. It's like, maybe that's Wizards MO. It might be a fantastic game. I don't know. But I don't know enough about it, the designers, to make me be like, oh, this designer, this is going to be an all-star game. Like, you didn't pick Wizards A+ people, let's say that.
Yeah. And I just think that the lack of narrative coming out is like a little worrisome. Like,
Yeah,
they're just
I absolutely agree with that. Like, you could do something. You literally had probably the hottest thing in
like
the
collecting.
entire collectibles market space, or at least within gaming, for a week,
Yeah.
in September. And like there was an unreal, like, you can even just track it like every
Like the
10
Google
minutes by
searches,
eBay
right? Yeah.
sales, right? And like, or like look at, yeah, like search things for this game. Like, it probably was the thing. And like, you just were like, oh, here's 900 things. And that's the other thing, is like, where did you come up with a 900? Like,
So random.
it's such a random number. And beyond that, it's like, there was 75,000 people or something that went to D23. Maybe it was a little bit on that. 60,000 people. There's still tens of thousands of people going to it. 900, you just literally printed money for yourself.
Well, like it like comes on this like crappy looking kind of board. Like
Yeah.
so here's my thoughts. Like they did the hard part, right? The hard part was securing the IP from Disney, right? Like you have to believe that like House of Mouse wants to make sure everything relating to their lovable characters that people have generational connections with is going to look great, is going to be like going through like 300 patent lawyers, right? Like the hard part's done. Like you got the
I mean,
IP.
the cards themselves look great. Like,
Yeah,
they
the
did
design
that
looks great.
part. And the other hard part is getting interest in your product. Like, if you're coming onto a market that's saturated in a mature card game market of like Magic, Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh,
Right.
Flesh and Blood, like, you need to make sure that you get people's attention. And you did it. You had the it's like,
Yes,
you
like
did the two things that you needed to do. And then, like, let's put out stories about puzzles. And you're like,
it's like
God, come on,
get your
you,
TikTok game
at this
going, get
point,
your Instagram reels, get all this crap going. Hire some Gen Z kids, pay them like $15 an hour, and they'll make this blow up. It's not even hard.
right.
Um,
I mean,
to my one Gen
yeah,
Z
it's just
listener, I'm
like,
sorry, but we'll pay you more than $15. But like,
sure, whatever, who cares? Like, like, I mean, I have to imagine, if they're really believing that they're going to compete with Magic or Pokemon, the entirety of Ravensburger, the entire puzzle and gaming thing, needs to pivot to be a card game company rather than they need to be a card game company that has like a subsidiary, like
like a puzzle
basement
arm.
level 2, you know, like office that does puzzles, rather than a puzzle company that like thinks that they're going to be able to do a card game.
Well, because I think the reputational damage here, like if this falters and joins the ranks of the many dead card games that we've talked about, this will also hurt Ravensburger, right? Like this will damage your brand reputation. Like even if you're just a puzzle company, like people will be like, wait, weren't you the ones that had that Disney IP that then
Mhm.
just like disappeared after 18 months? And wow, what a golden opportunity wasted. And so I'm not trying to be a hater here. I'm just saying like there's a bunch of easy, low-hanging fruit, whether
Yeah.
it's newsletters or Instagram or TikTok, like stuff that's I mean, you already have awareness. People know what Disney is. People are already kind of tracking Lorcana, but every day that passes, it gets a little more obscure. It's just like,
Yeah,
what was
sure,
this again?
exactly. You know,
I
the
couldn't remember what month it came out. Was it September now? Oh
September,
yeah,
yeah, like
September.
you should probably be putting out 10 pieces at minimum of content a day. If you
Yeah,
like, whether that's an article, a YouTube thing, a Instagram short, a TikTok thing, or whatever. And you have to do it like across all the different mediums. You need to be tweeting, you need to, and, you need to be on
yeah.
everything
I mean, this
all
is
at
fun
once,
stuff.
doing everything, because you need to reach all these different audiences. At minimum, I would be putting out 10 pieces of content, and they can even just be all self-referential.
Yeah,
Hey, tweet out that we did a TikTok video, right? Like, so it's like you really only need to make one and distribute it in 10 different ways. I don't know. It's just like
it's especially
watching this unfold is just kind of like, I'm still gonna check the game out when it comes out in like September. But if you had built a hype engine on this for a year and like
and
come
gotten like, I mean,
into come into next September with a year's worth of hype behind it, man, I'm probably getting like cases of this stuff. I'm
right,
gonna
and
get
you think
so
like
excited.
every local game store can have like send local games like that's the key cohesive glue that holds like card games together. Like I know that they're becoming increasingly scarce, but every local game store should have like a high resolution poster Lorcana coming like September
Mm-hmm.
2023, right?
It just you send them a stack of 250 to 300 of some common that once the game comes out, who cares about the common? You're going to have 12,000 of them because
Right.
you rip packs. But like, here's a common, at every purchase, you give somebody until you run out, you put them in your bag, in your,
Yeah.
whatever. Here you go. Check out this game when it comes out.
And I just think that
Disney, the physical Disney stores or Disney online in October, they give out a Jack Skellington card. In you know February for Valentine's Day, you get a Minnie card, right? Because Minnie and Mickey, right? And
yeah,
then
yeah.
you get like, I don't know, and you put out like over the course of, you don't have to do a card every month, but over the course of the next year, you already have a Mickey card, so put out, you know, a Donald, a Goofy, a Minnie, Daisy, Pluto, right? There's five other main Disney characters, right? And they could even just be images. You don't have to print physical cards. Just put an image. You don't even need the text. Here's the art. Let the rumor mills
Yeah.
speculate about what the card's going to do. Here's what we think this is going to do. Because she's, Daisy Duck is facing left. She's going to be able to tap to do something. That kind of stuff, right? Like you gotta have like the
You
hype
gotta
engine.
feed the
And
people. Feed the
the
people.
hype engine is you producing content to get people excited, but it's also feeding that like echo chamber of people who are going to retweet and make YouTube videos and make their own little TikTok shorts and all that kind of stuff. you know uh, Everything, like, it all feeds into it. It can't be like, hey, check out this puzzle I did on Thanksgiving with my uncle.
So I just want to close with
Who
this thought.
cares?
I mean, I wish that we had more to talk about with this game. like,
Yeah,
like you
I,
kind of
I
said,
would
like,
love to make a video every single week about this, but I don't want it to just be like, hey, Lorcana should do this thing that Magic did.
or to be like, let's
Do
check it on
something.
eBay. Like, no, like I would like to talk about a game. Right now I'm kind of between games. I fell out of love with Magic. I want like come capture my money, take my money
Right.
from me, but like help me, like help yourself or whatever.
Yeah.
And so I hope whatever update we do next, there's actually something to talk about. And I hope they don't waste the holiday season because it is absolutely silly to just sit here and let Christmas and New Year's pass by with no talk about this brand new piece of Disney IP. And I also just, as you said, that I hope they don't only sell it in Disney stores either. I hope they actually do go into local game stores.
Oh,
And,
sure.
but I
I
could see
agree.
them also just
And
be like, we're going to sell it at Disney properties, right? Like, I don't know.
yeah, and it'll be in local game stores. It'll be in your Target and Walmart and stuff like that too. Not that I think that that's great for fostering organized play, but if you don't really want to go a route of like a serious organized play, then it's fine, of course, and that's how you're going to reach a lot of the target market, because most people buy Magic and Pokemon at Target rather than a local game store anyway. So there you go,
Sure.
might as well do it, right?
Yeah, I think the key is to build like that core community. Like Pokemon kind of already has that, and I don't know, but we can discuss the merits of local game stores at length later. I- like I said, next time we do this, I hope we have something to talk about. I hope I can stick an image on this screen and be like, "Hey, look at Goofy. He's I don't know. It's like Goofy mounted. Does Goofy get a horse or anything? I don't actually know much about Goofy, but like, or the kid from the Goofy movie, like the rap kid, like there's something like
Goof Troop.
yeah, Goof Troop. Like,
Yeah,
give me something here.
sure. I'll take
So
Goof Troop.
yeah, all this stuff. There's so much out there you could be doing. So hopefully next time we chat, we'll have something to talk about besides this wasted opportunity. And maybe that's too harsh. You can flame me in the comments if you guys don't like it, if you made it to this point. So thanks everybody. Andy, thanks for chatting about
Thank
this
you.
game. And we'll catch you next time.
All right, sounds good.